YouTube, what's up? Frogs Angels here, back with some more NFL news. As promised, free agency news and rumors here at the Combine. A lot of stuff floating around. Agents are here talking to teams, talking to GMs, trying to get stuff done before it's even allowed to be done. And we got some legit rumors. One I want to start off with, talked a little bit about it in the draft video, but wanted to focus more on it here, is the Brandin Cooks trade. So there is rumors that the Saints want to trade Brandin Cooks if they can get something they would like. They're rumored to have the Eagles and the Titans involved. The Titans are the favorites right now to land Brandin Cooks Jr. What do you think about that?
So would it be like a swap of the pick and Brandon Cook?
I don't know if it would be. I
Cooks?
don't. I don't really know the details for sure. I would imagine it would be a first round pick for Brandin Cooks. I don't know if I personally would trade a first round pick for Brandin Cooks, but I think that's got to be what he's worth.
If the Titans get Cooks is what's Elshon still on the table?
I think Elshon would still be on the table. You get a slot receiver, Brandon Cooks, and you get Elshon. They have
That
plenty of.
would be
Yeah, that would
holy
be something.
Titans.
That would be something right there. But I don't know the details exactly. Nobody really does, unless you're the Saints, Titans, or Eagles. But I would imagine we're talking that 18th pick for Brandon Cooks. Maybe some kind of swap. Maybe because the
That would be
Titans
some type of malarkey.
some sort of malarkey. But
Yeah.
Titans have the fifth pick. Saints are in there around 11. Maybe they swap right there and they give Brandon Cooks, but I think that would be too good of a deal for the Titans. But the Eagles
Way too
cannot.
good.
Eagles can't be offering that because they have a few picks earlier than the Titans in the first round. So I'm wondering if that's on the table. Because if it was on the table, then the Titans must be giving up something more than just their 18th pick. Because the Eagles pick a little bit earlier. So it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, nothing can happen to March 9th. It sounds like the Titans are in serious talks. So we'll see if that gets done. Um, another trade rumor: Chase Daniel, the backup quarterback for the Eagles. There's teams that are calling.
Oh, don't tell me.
Yeah, there's
Don't
teams.
tell
I
me.
don't, I don't know any of the teams, but there's teams. I'm guessing the teams that need quarterbacks are calling about Chase Daniel. He's got a pretty
Ugh.
hefty contract for a backup. So obviously, I think they want him to start. I don't know who those teams are, but I don't know if you're talking a team that may
We
draft
got
one.
Chicago.
Yeah, I mean all those teams that need a quarterback. Chicago, possibly Buffalo, the Jets, the Browns, the Niners. But if you're one of those teams in position to take a quarterback, not even in the first, I think the second round, I think I'd rather have that rookie quarterback than Chase Daniel. But I mean, he's a solid backup, but maybe the best backup in the league. But is he a starter? That's the question. What do you give up for him? And you remember you got to pay him. You got to pay him his contract. It's pretty hefty back. He's the highest paid backup, I'm pretty sure, in out of the quarterbacks that are supposed to be backups, not the ones that got benched. But so we'll see what happens there. The Tony Romo news, more quarterback news.
Oh, why? Oh,
The
jeez.
Broncos are going to make a tough push. They're going to make a hard push for him. I mean, where do you go if you're Romo? A lot of the teams that need a quarterback, where do you
Home. You go
home?
home.
Chicago?
No, no, not like to his house. Like call it, pull the plug.
Oh yeah, I was thinking Chicago because he's from Eastern
If he
Illinois.
goes to any team that doesn't have an offensive line, he's getting hurt, and that's a fact.
That
That's a
was my
fact.
that was my next point about the Broncos. Broncos maybe the best team out of the teams that he can join, but they have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They're definitely up there for one of the worst lines. So does he want to go
Oh
there? Do
my.
they really want him? Do they really think he's going to stay healthy with that line? Are they confident they're going to build a pretty much an entire line in the offseason? That's the question. So Romo Broncos seems to be the favorite. Seems to be the team as of now that's going to give the hardest push for him. But other teams will push for him as well. We just don't know 100% yet. But the 100% Broncos will try. Speaking of the Broncos, they are two teams are the favorite for offensive lineman T.J. Lang, that was formerly on the Packers. Broncos is one of them, and the Vikings is the other. Both teams huge offensive line needs, so it's hard to see him go to the Vikings. But I mean, for the right price, I guess he would. Why not? Um,
I mean, I can see TJ Lang going to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, if you guarantee a starting job, obviously, I think it just depends. If Vikings, Broncos are the favorite as of now. If those are the two teams going for him, who will pay him more? I think that's what it comes down to. We'll see. We'll see what his value is once March 9th comes around. Speaking of the Vikings, they are rumored to um, want Latavius Murray, the Raiders running back, after releasing Adrian Peterson. So is that going to be their guy? Are they actually going to go for him? I see them going for him because they have an opening at running back. He's a little different style than McKinnon, so then you can get like a 1-2 punch there, two different styles. But mainly, he is arguably the best pass blocking running back in the NFL, so, and they need pass blocking. I think between the two Murrays, I think Latavius and DeMarco Murray got to be the best pass blocking running backs in the league. So I think the Vikings would be happy to pick up a guy like that. But also, I would expect them, if they did to pick him up, I would expect them to draft one as well. But on to the Bills. Bills didn't franchise tag Stephon Gilmore, their corner. Struggled this year, so that's why. But do they plan on re-signing him? That is the big question. Um, since they didn't, I think they're gonna let him test. I think they're gonna let him test free agency, see what his value is. Because I think he might think should get more money. The Bills are gonna let him see what he can get, and then maybe he'll come back to him and they'll give him what they want him to give him originally. But there's always a random team that kind of just blows the whole cap situation for the 31 other teams. And they'll overpay a guy like that, so I can see it happening. I can see. I mean, he still can be a solid corner, but
I mean, I think there's gonna be a team that gives him that ridiculous contract.
I mean, there might be a desperate corner needing team, but I think they might try for somebody else first. We'll see. But the Bills, back to the Bills. Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback. We talked about this in the past. It sure sounded like they were gonna move on from him. New coaching staff didn't like his style, didn't want to pay him all that money, wanted a different quarterback in there. Don't think he's the answer. We were pretty sure about that. That was gonna happen. Everybody was pretty sure. But now, like talking at the combine, teams are realizing there's really no quarterbacks to get. The teams are scared. The teams are scared that need quarterbacks. They're trying to figure out how to get a quarterback. They're calling the Eagles about Chase Daniels. So with all that going around, the Bills might be like, hey, Tyrod Taylor's the best we're gonna get. I think by far. So maybe we should hang on to him. Maybe we can talk pay cut. But maybe we should hang on to him. So it's up in the air, I think, now. Before it was looking like he was gone. Now it's really up in the air. He may be staying because of the quarterback situation this year. What do you think? You think they should
I
hang on
mean,
to him?
I think I like Tyrod Taylor. I like his game. I think for that offense, he fits in perfectly. And I think unless they for sure could either A, make a trade, B, their guys there in the draft, like you got to hold on to him. His value is pretty high, I think. And I just think that's something you can't lose. You just can't lose that.
Yeah, I don't know his contract details. I don't know if he's owed this amount of money and by this time if before the draft. But if it's not a ridiculous amount, then I would wait to the draft. You're picking 10. If there's a quarterback that you like and you don't think he's gonna be available, so that's why you have Tyrod. But if he ends up being available, you take him at 10, and then you can decide what to do with Tyrod. Then you can release him or trade him right there and right then. So like maybe there's another team. There's another team behind them that thought they were going to get their quarterback in the draft. Turns out that maybe the Bills or somebody else took him. Then you can trade Tyrod to that team. And this is very unlikely, but I'm just spitting. I'm just spitting out
Hey,
stuff
dream
here.
big, dream big,
And
dream
just
big.
these are ideas. On to Alshon Jeffrey. Bears' chances of re-signing him are slim to none. Um, I
Hey,
still think it's a possibility. That's from what I heard. I think it's a possibility.
I
What
I think
about
they're honestly letting him just test the market for
yeah,
like
that's yeah.
value purposes, and I don't think his value is honestly that high with the amount of injuries he's had. His value cannot possibly be that high.
Yeah, that's another guy that somebody may
Can't.
may give it to him though, like the money that he thinks he's gonna get. Titans, Niners, and Eagles seem to be the front runner. Titans and Eagles are also trying to trade for Brandin Cooks. Question is, if they get Cooks, do they get Elshon too? I can see the Titans getting both because they have so much cap space and they need receivers, and they're two different receivers. So we'll see if the Titans can
Hey,
pull that
hey,
one
hey,
off.
hey, hey. Out of those three teams, Sean did say at the end of the year that he's going to win the Super Bowl next year. And
Uh,
out of those three teams, there is one clear favorite coming out of the AFC that I can see going to the Super Bowl.
well, if you yeah, it'd be the Titans
Easy,
over the Niners and the
easy.
Eagles.
Right. And I don't know. I just think that if he's looking to go to the best possible situation, it's definitely Tennessee.
Yeah,
The
Tennessee.
contract's there. It's going to be Tennessee.
That brings me back to the Brandin Cook situation. There's a receiver, John Ross, in the draft who I've in the past compared to Brandin Cooks. Like he's almost the same player. So the question is, I was thinking, why wouldn't you just take John Ross, stay in your draft pick, maybe move back, gain some more draft picks, and still take John Ross? And the answer to that question that I've been wondering is you rather have Brandin Cooks if your team is pretty much complete, if you want to contend, because Brandin Cooks is pretty much already developed. John Ross is going to be Brandin Cooks style player, but not quite yet. So the Titans obviously think, and I don't think it's too far out there, but they think they can contend. I think they can be a playoff team. I don't know if they can contend, but that would be a reason for getting Brandin Cooks and then getting Alshon too. That can make a, they can take a step up from that.
You think they should pull the trigger on Brandon Cooks?
I mean, it depends on what it is. If we're talking the 18th overall for Brandin Cooks, um,
I think they do that.
I'm a fan. I'm usually a fan of draft. You build a team in the draft, so I always like keeping my draft picks. But Brandin Cooks,
But for a team like you said that's ready to contend right now.
I don't know if they can contend right now, but they can make a play at the playoffs. But I wouldn't say it's a bad deal. I wouldn't. I think both teams it would be a good deal. Both teams, I think it would be a good deal. Either way, I'm not gonna sit here and say they for sure should do it. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna benefit them too much, but it's not gonna hurt them either. It depends on what pick they're trading. We really don't know what pick they're trading. Maybe it's a swap of picks. I mean, obviously a swap of picks would be better in my opinion. You still hold on to your pick, and you get Brandin Cooks. That'd be pretty ridiculous. I think it'd be a good move to pick up Brandin Cooks, but to pick up Alshon, depending on the money, it could be a good or bad move. If it's too much money, I don't know about Alshon because he hasn't really finished the season. And if he can finish the season, he's really good. So we'll see. We'll see where that brings us. Let's move on. Bengals news on the Bengals. Whitworth, they want to resign Whitworth. They're going to offer him a deal, but he wants to test free agency. That is what I've heard about him. He may get a lot. He may get offered a lot, then maybe go back to the Bengals, get that much money. Definitely one of the top offensive linemen, but he's getting up there in age. Getting up there in age. And then A.J. McCarron is on the trading block. The Bengals made him available. And I mean, if teams are calling about Chase Daniel, they got to be calling about A.J. McCarron, I would think, too.
I would hope not.
You would hope not? You prefer Chase
I'm not a
Daniel over
fan.
A.J. McCarron?
I honestly would take Chase Daniel over AJ McCarron
I
for
think I,
one reason and one reason only is that Chase Daniel actually was backup to Drew Brees for a while, and I think that has to count for something.
a little experience. He's got more experience, basically. I like the younger guys. I like McCarron. I mean, it depends on the price. I would imagine McCarron would be. They're got to be asking
The
for a
trade.
better draft pick than Chase Daniel. Like how high of a draft pick is what I'm saying. I think
I
they.
wouldn't even give a third pick, third round.
I think
Wouldn't even do
that's what
that.
they would ask for. They might even start with a second because teams might be desperate for quarterbacks. They might be desperate, but I wouldn't trade if it's like a fourth. I wouldn't. I would feel pretty comfortable with Adrian McCarron, but I don't know. I'm a fan of hanging on to those draft picks. Another quarterback, Johnny Football. Is he making a comeback?
No,
No.
let's not get carried away. Let's
He's
not get
trying
carried
his
away.
he's trying his agents at the combine, talking to teams. And I would imagine he would have to do a private workout, maybe some interviews, see how if he's in shape, and see if his head's there too. Uh, a team that I just threw out there that he could join was the Buccaneers. Buccaneers seem to take risks on guys, and they have his former teammate Mike Evans. So I'm not saying he's going to go there, but it's just a team that popped in my
Oh,
head first.
confirmed.
It's just a team that popped in my head first. That would be interesting, but he would back up Jameis, obviously. Does he expect to start somewhere? That's another question. But uh, Patriots, Jimmy Garoppolo, they want to hang on to him. They want to
You
hang on
have
to
to.
him.
You absolutely have to.
Yeah, I think it depends on how long they got to know how long Brady had. I think they know because isn't Brady done when Belichick's done? Aren't they supposed to be retiring at the same time? I heard something like that. They may retire at the same time. So I think like the main people in that organization really know. They know the exact date on when Tom Brady's going to be done. So I think
I'm a little concerned.
you're a little concerned. Yeah, I mean it could be a few more years, but they know the exact date. Is what I heard. And do you want to trade your quarterback that Belichick already developed and get another one so some other coach is going to develop him? Because he might be close to being done too. I think you keep Jimmy G, who was coached by Belichick, and then he's your guy. I mean, Jimmy G, I'm sure
Well,
wants to go
Jimmy
somewhere.
G does have 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah, they're going to have to extend him, but he may not take it. He may want to be a starter somewhere. So do you try to get something for him now? That's the big question, but it sounds like they don't want to trade him. Could them be saying that like a tactic to maybe get a higher draft pick out of him? That could be what it is. Like Rez, right now we're not trading him. They said we view him as a starting quarterback. We don't want to trade him for a second rounder. So maybe some team just come draft. I think if he gets traded, it's during the draft. Somebody trades a first rounder for him.
It'll be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really see high draft picks traded for a player in the draft, but I think the Patriots are gonna stall on that. Other teams are gonna hold out of trading that first rounder until they absolutely have to. But another Patriots.
I think New England would be stupid not to accept the first rounder for him.
Yeah, I think you have to take a first rounder. You draft him in second, take a first. More Patriots news. Chris Long, not expected to re-sign with the team. I mean, not the greatest player, but still can play. Still can play. He can contribute to another team. Is he a starter? He could be a starter on some teams. Not. I mean,
I say bring him to Chicago
bring him to Chicago.
with his brother. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if
be
they
sweet.
necessarily need him, and they could use him, but we'll see. We'll see. Another guy that's about to hit the free agents market, Russell Okung, has a lot of interest already. Vikings, Giants, Jets, and Chargers all are supposedly going to get an interview with him, try to bring him on board. So let's see what team he goes to, and not going to rule out Broncos and Seahawks return for him either. So he's got plenty of teams that have a chance to get him in there. And I mean, obviously the teams I named all need offensive line help, mainly Vikings, Chargers, and Broncos and Seahawks. They all really need offensive line help. The Giants and the Jets, other teams I named, they could use a little. Kirk Cousins, I'm back on the Redskins. Yep, Redskins' goal is to keep Kirk Cousins and to re-sign Chris Baker to a long-term deal. Coming up, that's their goal. Two guys, they want to bring them back. Obviously, Kirk's staying, but they want to lock him up long term, I guess. Not ruling out a possible trade to the Niners. That's been floated out there, but it sounds like the Skins want to bring him back along with Chris Baker, the defensive lineman. Two running backs that everybody knows they were released by their team. Star running backs Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles. Kind of want to talk about where they could end up. Adrian Peterson is really up in the air. Teams been just experts been throwing out team names, just guessing. But there's really Peterson. We don't know. We don't really know where he's gonna go. There's a handful of teams he could go. We're just gonna have to wait and see on that one. I think the Vikings are letting him test the market, maybe, and then see how much he's worth, and he'll come back to the Vikings. Zimmer said he's talked to Peterson about staying a Viking his whole career and how he kind of wants that, but also wants what he deserves from what he's done in the past. So we'll see what happens there. Jamal
That whole
Charles.
D Wade situation.
Yeah, Jamal Charles. I've heard Eagles rumors.
He needs to be with someone. Nice two-punch combo. I mean, Philly has what? Ryan Matthews and Sproles.
Yeah, they have Doug
Trying
Peterson.
to get a third.
Doug Peterson from the Chiefs. So I think that's he said himself and the Eagles will evaluate him going forward for sure in their minds. I think if Ryan Matthews being released is a possibility that would cut some space. So I think really it's just Doug Peterson, who used to coach him for a while. Him wanting him back is basically what it is. But Texans have some goals coming up too. DeAndre Hopkins want to extend him, and they want to pick up Clowney's option going forward. So just to hang on to those guys for longer, and I think those are both great moves.
The Cowboys reportedly will try to trade Alfred Morris and attempt to re-sign Darren McFadden. That's interesting.
Interesting. I don't know if anybody's going to trade for Morris. I think he's a solid backup. I don't think anybody's going to trade him with this deep running back draft class. Maybe like a seventh rounder, but I don't know if they would want that from because I think you just pick up a younger guy going forward. Darren McFadden, that's a little surprising they would re-sign him. Um, doesn't really do much for the
Break his
team,
arm?
but yeah, and he keeps getting hurt, so we'll see. But yeah, I was saying Cap's gonna stand this year. That's the news. I don't know if he's been talking to teams that that want him, but they only want him if he's gonna stand and be respectful. So I don't know if that's the situation. No idea where he's gonna go. We'll see
You
it,
put that in the contract?
and maybe you can throw that in there. We'll see.
Just be like,
Since
must stand during every national anthem.
back to some more
That's interesting.
running back news. Seahawks. Pete Carroll was interviewed. Some little speculation they could be interested in a running back since they could get better in this draft. But Pete Carroll really made it clear that it's going to be C.J. Prosise versus Thomas Rawls competing for that starting job. So they really likes both of those guys. Both of them are worthy of starting for the Seahawks, and one of those guys will be. I mean, I'm sure they'll both get snaps, a lot of carries, but one of those guys will be the starter for this year. And last, Packers want Eddie Lacy back. Kind of surprised by that. I mean,
Oh,
I think they should want him back. I mean, there's no reason to not want him back.
no.
Um, I think, and you also can draft a more of a receiving running back to go along with him. I think that could be good, but they mainly need defense, so they're gonna have to use most of their draft picks and earlier draft picks on defense. So I think that's why they really have no choice but to get a running back, which also is a need, but not as big as defense. They got to get one of those guys in there from free agency, and then get another one later, mid to later in the draft. So Eddie Lacy, familiar with the offense, I think they can keep him. Does he want to go back? That's the question.
I think you're better off. You have Ty Montgomery, who is breaking out as a running back, and then you have they signed Michael from the Seahawks, and I think that those two are both of them, either of them, are a way better option than Eddie Lacy.
Yeah, that's true.
Cannot keep his weight in check.
Montgomery the receiving back to go along with Lacy already, but yeah, I think they could get better. I think they get better at the position, especially this year in the draft. But they got to use a lot of draft picks on defense, so really up in the air. They have a lot of free agents as well. Nick Perry's supposed to get a lot of money, more than the Packers expected, so we'll see. Stuff's getting real. Combine starts tomorrow. The workouts start. Then on Tuesday next week, teams can meet with free agents, talk with setup meetings, but they can't actually sign them, and no trades can actually happen until March 9th. So a lot to go over in the coming days. Check out our Twitter, frogs_angels. I'm tweeting all kinds of stuff, news around the combine, what players are meeting with what teams, interesting stuff. And stay tuned for more videos, mock drafts, more, all that fun stuff. That'll do it for this
Can't
one.
wait.
Goodbye.